This is the Kindy Rockstars Podcast, Season 5. Bringing you incredibly talented singers, artists, creators, and producers in the genre of children's music. I'm your host, Patrick Adams. Each episode will feature songs, albums, videos, or live performances, along with great stories from the artists themselves. Kindy Rockstars Season 5 is proud to be supported and sponsored by Waltmania Public Relations, serving the family entertainment community for more than 20 years. And now, on with the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kindy Rockstars. And I have with me today Katherine Dines of Hunk-Ta-Bunk-Ta Music. They're kind of one and the same. So Katherine, it's your first time on the show, and I'm delighted to have you on. But I want to learn all about you, your history, how you came up with the name Hunk-Ta-Bunk-Ta Music, and how you got into making music for kids.
Oh, Patrick, thanks so much. And thanks for having me. Gosh, where do I start? So the word Hunk-Ta-Bunk-Ta is part of a very long field holler that my grandmother taught me when I was about, 5 or 6 years old. And the whole field holler goes like this. Kick to billicky alaka locks to hunk-ta-bunk-ta boo, yeah. So you hear that hunk-ta-bunk-ta in there. And I had never intended to write for kids. I was writing country and pop, and I was making little trips to Nashville to kind of figure out the whole publishing world of country music and pop music. And I loved Nashville so much that I ended up moving there. And I was asked to write lullabies by a publisher when I was pitching my pop songs. And he goes, well, can you write lullabies? And I said, I don't think so because I'm not able to have children. And he goes, well, I think you can. And so these things just started pouring out of my soul. And I wrote probably 20, and he published 2 and actually owns the publishing of these 2 songs, the only 2 songs that I've ever published by somebody else. And they were nominated for a Grammy, and then the album went platinum, and then he named his whole company after my song, Someday Baby. So I have a real affinity for lullabies. I love them. And from that, a publisher called and heard them and said, can you write for kids? I need some shows for Dollywood, which was Dolly Parton's kind of amazing amusement park. And she's an incredible activist for children and particularly literacy. So I started writing these songs for Dollywood, and then they turned into an album. And I was living in Nashville at the time, and I was working at Nashville Songwriters, which was my first job in the music industry, and I was the receptionist. So I got to meet everybody who came in the front door, who was everybody. I mean, Willie Nelson, Emmylou Harris, Travis Tritt. I mean, you name it. I was talking with all of them. And, they sit around and they're waiting, and you have a conversation. And one of them says, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm writing music for children right now because I got so inspired. And, with all the work you do, Patrick, it's so phenomenal what you can come up with for children, because it can be any genre, any content, anything. Everybody always goes, well, what's children's music? And I say, well, it's music that appeal to children, that lyrically engages them. So I'm huge on lyrics, and I'm huge on melody. And I just kept going, and I got a record deal with, first it was Warner Brothers, and I turned that down. Then it was Liberty, which was an offshoot of Capitol. And it was 40 pages, and they wanted me to lie about my age. And I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell a lie to kids that I'm performing for. And so I just kind of kept going independently and met teachers who said, "Oh, do you know how educational your music is?" And I said, "No." And they kind of helped guide me in that direction. And then I started presenting at educational and literacy and various early childhood conferences. And I think I did like 10 state keynotes for various and sundry educational conferences. And I just fell in love with children's music and I just never went back. And now that I've been in it a while, I think I have, well, I just finished my 13th album and I love writing so much and I want to expand and do more in different genres and work with different people, but I haven't applied myself, basically. I've just been doing my independent thing. So
Well,
that's kind of
couple
yeah.
couple of quick follow-up questions just on that amazing like beginning. Did the person who wanted you to write lullabies, knowing that you wrote pop and country, did he see something in you that says, "I bet she can write great lullabies"? Why did he come to you with that? Do you
I
know?
have no idea because my stuff was pretty raw. I mean, I was writing Hot Touch which was on hold with Queen for a while, and I wrote a song for Barbra Streisand called Parting of Ways that was on hold by her. So I don't know. I have no idea. That's a really good question. And he has Parkinson's, and I should go and ask him that because I do see him when I go to Nashville still, and I've just never asked him. But I bet that I don't know what he saw. Maybe we met and maybe he thought, oh, she's very soft spoken and, very sweet. And he didn't really know my dark side. Who knows what he thought?
Yeah, no, that was interesting that he kind of saw that and ended up really being your trajectory and like it's like
Yeah,
he unlocked that with you and you
he
ran with it.
did. He really, truly did. And so in that sense, heck, he can have those two damn songs. But it really bothered me because it's the only two songs that I have signed to BMI. And there the album was called Child's Gift of Lullabies, and it was in 7 languages at one point and in all the Target stores and all the Walmarts, and it was doing great. And then the guy got sued and he lost his shirt because of the packaging. And, I was this is kind of a sad story. But when I was married, I was getting divorced. And so I decided I was just going to make every break possible. And my husband said, well, I want ownership of your lullabies because I know they're going to make more in your lifetime than my whatever his claim to fame was. And he kind of had a point because the publisher of Child's Gift of Lullabies said, oh, yeah, you're going to make several $1,000,000. And in fact, Gerber Baby Foods offered him $2 million. So 1 million would have been to me, 1 million to him for my song Someday Baby. And they wanted an exclusive with it to do in all their ad campaigns. And he turned it down and he could because he's the publisher. So I never saw the $1 million. And then right after that, maybe 2 or 3 years later is when the lawsuit came down. So I really never got another royalty for a very long time.
Wow.
Anyway, one of those, all songwriters have those, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has a story like that.
Maybe not a multi-million-dollar story, but
That sounds
that's
really big,
I
doesn't it?
know.
But another funny story that I know I'm talking a lot right now, but you asked about Hunk-Ta-Bunk-Ta. So about 12 years ago, a friend of mine called me up and she lived in California and she said, Catherine, congratulations. I didn't know you signed a deal with Toys R Us. And I said, what? And she said, yeah, I just saw all your stuffed animals. And I said, double what? And I had no idea what I was talking about. And I'm not a very big internet person and never have been until like lately. So I got online, and sure enough, there were like 600 pages of these stuffed animals that Toys R Us was marketing. And they had made some ungodly amount of money from the sale of these stuffed animals. And they were called Hunk-Ta-Bunk-Ta by Animal Alley, or Animal Alley Hunk-Ta-Bunk-Ta dog or cat. And they were these huge, like purple, I don't know what they were stuffed with, made in China things. And I didn't want to be affiliated with those. And I kind of felt weird about it, but because I wasn't like a death thing or a horrible, I didn't lose a leg and I wasn't going to die. It wasn't something that I would think about bringing a lawsuit against something. But I married a lawyer, my second husband, and he said, you've got to get to the bottom of this.
Because
So
had you trademarked the name by then?
I had trademarked it,
Yeah. Okay.
and thank God I did. And so it was a long story, but I got a law firm in Boulder who was one of the guys was just a bulldog, and he'd actually represented toys in the past. And he just really he just took it to the moon. And I won the lawsuit against Toys R Us. And of course, the third goes to the attorneys that are doing it by contingency. A third comes to you, and a third goes to the tax man. But I did very well, and I got a car. I got a car.
Very good.
So but it felt good to not let somebody like that take you out. And they said, oh yeah, well, don't worry about it, little lady. We'll give you $1,000 and we'll take everything off the internet. And it just was really interesting to go ahead and fight that battle.
Yeah.
And
Well, they should have done their research and they apparently either did and didn't care, or
well,
they
the funny part about it, and you'll appreciate this being the amazing net guru you are, is that we had to hire from our pockets a person that had to prove that they couldn't have pulled down a menu and gotten Hunk-Ta-Bunk-Ta. That's what they were saying. Oh, we just found it in a pull down, and it was just a naive mistake. And we had to prove through a person that they couldn't pull it down. It had to be typed in. So that was really interesting to me.
yeah, that doesn't sound like a name that would be just pulled down.
Mm-mm. It's the only, I mean, it was from my great, great, great grandmother. So who knows where it came from?
Yeah. So of all the country stars, and my mom was a huge country fan. So
Is she?
when I was younger, I got to hear a lot of Willie Nelson and some of those. But of
Oh,
all the ones that you met, is there any that stood out as just being super awesome and friendly?
Dolly.
Dolly, of course.
Dolly Parton. Well, and Emmylou too. But one day I was on my way to a gig somewhere in an airport, and I had my guitar on my back. And I had met Dolly briefly at a party because her engineer did my mastering when I was in Nashville. And, I didn't really know her from Adam, but she was with her little entourage, and she's a little bitty thing, and she had on these 6 feet, heels. And she came over to me in the line, and she gave me a big hug, and she said, darling, you just keep on going. And it made me cry just that somebody would take that time and do that. I just thought it was really a sweet gesture and unnecessary. I mean, she just saw me in the line with my guitar. It
Well,
was kind of cool.
she is a national treasure for sure.
She truly is. And
I even
well,
like the movie Rhinestone.
I know. I mean, she's just incredible. Well, and her voice and her whole demeanor and the fact that she's never wavered once from just exactly who she is
Mhm.
and the whole history of her life. Oh my gosh, truly a coal miner's daughter.
And the latest album that she put out, there are some really, really good collaborations, and all of those artists should be honored that they got to participate in that.
Yes, yes, they should.
All right, well, let's get into your newest album. It's called Seasons. We're going to feature four songs from it, but before we get into the songs, uh, tell us a little bit about the album as a whole, how you came up with the theme, and any fun stories from the making of it.
Sure. Well, when during COVID, there was a Facebook page that a woman named Bridget Finucane started. And she was an early childhood sort of specialist teacher, etc. And she vetted who would post one day a month a particular song. And, cooped up, I'm sitting around going, okay, let's write some songs. So every month I would write a song. And this went on for a good year, I would say. And so I ended up writing 12 songs that were featured on this particular Facebook page. And I really loved it. It was a lot of early childhood educators. I think she had about 1,000 people on the site coming and going and listening and giving feedback and using some of the songs. And really, I hadn't intended to do an album called Seasons. I was going in a whole different, more adult place, Patrick. Kind of like my last album, the holiday one, which is global songs and more. It's a little more family oriented as opposed to early childhood. But the last 2 years, I've been working really hard in early childhood settings with Wolf Trap as an artist. And I'll tell you about that if you don't know, and also in early childhood settings. And generally, I go in and I write songs with the kids, but I'm just so inspired by their little minds, and I really love early childhood. And my stuff is always, I don't know, melodically, it seems to be pretty simple, so they're memorable. And lyrically, they're a little complicated for that age group, but I think vocabulary building is good. So I just got really inspired. And then I thought, well, we've been here in a year, kind of cooped up, might as well talk about the seasons. And then Jim Coffey, I just love his work. And he helped me do the last album I did called The Holiday One. And I just called him up and I said, hey, what do you want to do? Does this sound good to you? And I sent him the songs and he goes, love them. So there we go. Because he's an early childhood educator,
Yeah.
first and foremost, too.
His name has been brought up a few times this season.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of people
think
are working
we
with him.
should do a podcast with him.
I
He'd
would
be
love to have him on.
awesome. I'll give him a little jingle. He's a good friend. He's not very he doesn't like to go out there very much, but he's really, really talented. And I think he'd get a lot more business out of it.
Yeah. All right.
So fun stories about it are, me sitting in my little hovel thinking about looking at a spider crawl across the floor and thinking, I don't want to squish that spider, but I'm really don't like spiders. This was a pretty big one. So that was an inspiration for one of the songs. Summertime, I love summer. Springtime, I did a show at Botanic Gardens last summer or last spring, and I wanted to think of something that was really poppy and kind of fun. So those are like little snippets of where I went with it.
All right. Very good. Well, let's get into a few of these songs.
Sure.
You can tell me a little bit of a story about, what inspired you to write it, and then we'll play it.
Okie
And
doke.
let's kick it off with It's Spring. Tell us about that one.
Perfect. So It's Spring is just poppy. That's the one that I told you about, that it was inspired by going to Botanic Gardens and seeing all these little things come up from the ground. Plus, I manage a property in the mountains, which is our family property, and it's 200 acres. And in the springtime and early summer, there's always a lot of these little frogs croaking. So I was thinking of all the things that pop up in the spring, and the raindrops plop, and the froggies hop, and the bunnies hop, and just ploppy and hoppy and poppy things. That was the inspiration. And then the fact that it's just kind of a wondrous time. It's spring. And when I do the concert, I always do have kids spring up and go, it's spring, because it's really a miracle, I think, that happens on our planet every year. And I'm always amazed by it and thrilled by it.
Yeah, for a good part of the country, it sleeps through winter and then comes alive in spring. Not here in Vegas, mind you, but most everywhere else.
I was going to ask you, you're pretty much.
It cools down, but it's Vegas cold, not rest of the country cold.
Right. That sounds like a good album, actually. Vegas cold.
60 degrees. That's Vegas cold.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's check this song out. Here it is. It's Spring by Hunk-Ta-Bunk-Ta.
Birdies tweet, song so sweet. It's spring. It's spring. Bunnies hop, tiny seeds pop. It's spring. It's spring. It's spring. It's spring. The whole world comes alive. It's spring. It's spring. Time to play outside. Flowers bud through the mud. It's spring. It's spring. Raindrops soak, froggies croak. It's spring. It's spring. It's spring. It's spring. The whole world comes alive. It's spring. It's spring. Time to play outside. Bet you never thought about the weather when snow was on the ground. Soon the sun will seem to shine forever once the green grows all around. Butterflies fly, clouds sail by. It's spring. It's spring. Honeybees buzz, everything does. It's spring. It's spring. It's spring. It's spring. The whole world comes alive. It's spring. It's spring. Time to play outside. It's spring. It's spring. The whole world comes alive. It's spring. It's spring. Time to play outside. Come on, let's go.
And that was It's Spring. All right. Next song we're going to talk about is called Bye Bye Bug. And this must be the one about the spider.
That's exactly right. And I don't exactly know why this is, but bugs bite me. I mean, I had a boyfriend in Nashville, and we would sleep in the same bed, and I would get bed bugs, and he would not have one thing on him. Or fleas. I mean, I got my first time in Nashville, I never even saw a flea because I'm a Colorado girl, right? So I went out there with my socks on. I had pink socks on, I remember. I was talking to the neighbor, and I looked down, and my ankles are kind of getting bit. And I looked down, and my socks are brown. So my pink socks were brown. So I ran into the house, and I was going to dunk my ankles into the sink and get the water all over them and get the bugs off. Well, fleas hop. So they hopped off and got in all the carpets, and I had to have the house fumigated. It was a disaster. And then once I was performing in Kerrville at I won the Kerrville Folk Festival in early on in the 80s when I was just starting my career. And I went down there, and I'm sitting on some haystacks, and sure enough, I got chiggers all over me. So it's just, they like me. Bugs like me. Maybe that's what Aaron Brown thought. I could write lullabies because I'm so just freaking
Sugary,
sweet.
sugary sweet.
Anyway, that the inspiration for this was trying to be kind to bugs even though they bite me.
Yeah. No, that's where we're trying to teach that lesson to our daughter as well. We don't get a lot of bugs in the house here in Vegas,
You don't?
but when we do, rather than killing the bug, we tried to like scoop it. Like we had a cricket in the house the other day, and I wanted to teach my daughters, okay, let's try and scoop the cricket into the little dustpan and then let it go outside.
Very sweet. Well,
Yeah.
that's what this song is about, letting him go outside.
Yeah. I suppose I would try it with the spider, but it would depend on the spider, honestly. And if it had good intentions or bad.
Well, the last one is about a mosquito, and I hope it doesn't bite, and I do get it.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's an instinct. You feel something
it's
stinging your hand all of a sudden. And
well,
they're trying to take your blood. So
and they're
yeah.
trying to take over the world, if you notice.
So all right. Well, here we go. Let's play the song Bye Bye Bug by Hunk-Ta-Bunk-Ta.
There's a beetle on its back, wiggling its legs. Let's roll it over just like that, so it will crawl away. There's a spider on the floor, trying hard to hide. Let's guide it gently to the door, so it will go outside. Bye bye bug, leave me alone. You might be smaller than me, but it's time for you to go on home. So long, bye bye bug. There's a buzzing bumblebee heading toward my ears. Let's back away so it won't sting, and it will disappear. There's a bug that's hard to catch. I hope it doesn't bite and cause an itch that makes me scratch. So long, farewell, good night. Bye bye bug, leave me alone. You might be smaller than me, but it's time for you to go on home. So long, bye bye bug. Bye bye bug. Bye bye bug. Bye bye bug.
And that was Bye Bye Bug. All right. Third song we're going to talk about is called Autumn. Tell us about this one.
So autumn, I don't, autumn's beautiful. It's not my favorite time of year because I'm a spring and summer person, and fall is like the beginning of winter. But I don't mind it so much. It's just something I really, really love in terms of the smells, the pumpkins, the leaves turning, football. So I tried to bring in all the things, including back to school and closing up the swimming pool, and daylight savings, which probably doesn't happen in all parts of the country, but I don't even know why we still have that. But apparently, it just makes me sad when it gets darker early. But I
Yeah.
still like autumn. I like all the seasons, and luckily, we're in a place, Colorado, where you can really feel and sense all seasons.
Mm.
Not that long, but you get to feel them.
Yeah. No, you brought up some of the best parts of it. Football, for one.
Are you a football guy?
I
Or
love
do you have a
football.
favorite team?
So, Philadelphia Eagles, probably, because my
Mhm,
family is from
mhm.
Philadelphia. They were all born and raised there. I wasn't. My dad had gone overseas by the time I was ready to be born. So I was born in Beirut, Lebanon.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, no wonder you like to travel. You had it in your
I
genes.
traveled. My first flight was at 4 days old from Beirut to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Oh my gosh. Was your dad in the service?
He worked for a company called Raytheon, and
Oh,
so he I don't know what they were selling back then, but he was a trainer in his company. And once somebody had bought the equipment, then he would go over and train their workers or their military how to use the equipment. And so
Wow.
we had my first few years were spent in Saudi Arabia, and then we went to the Canary Islands. He went to work for a company called WABCO, which was the West Africa Building Company, I think. But we lived in the
Wow.
Canary Islands while he worked in a couple of the countries, like I want to say Ghana, Liberia, a few of those with this company. But 9 months we were in the Canary Islands, and we went back to the US for about a year, and then back to Saudi Arabia. So that was
Wow.
my first 10 years. It was
That's
really wild.
amazing. No kidding. And that must have been really pretty stressful on your whole family, I would think, moving around that much.
Probably my mother at the
Yeah.
most. We as kids, we just kind of rolled with punches, and we just wanted to have fun wherever we were. And Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia was actually really fun.
I bet. Oh
Because
my
we lived in
gosh.
a compound where it was all of the Raytheon employees and their families. So just kids from all over the world.
Oh, how cool. That is just, I mean, that is the best time of one of my best times in my career was going touring with the Department of Defense. And I did 4 tours with them. I did the Pacific Rim, the Med, Northern Europe, and Germany, England. And it was incredible. The people you meet from all over the world that are stationed in different places. And some of them are real adventuresome, and some of them never go off the base. And I just loved it. The neatest people and the most amazing employer in the entire world. It's just like, oh my gosh, their own radio, their own TV, their own newspaper, their own movies that they would show. It was mind boggling because I'm a flower child, Patrick. You got to remember, I'm a flower child. I don't do military, but I sure do now.
Yeah, no, it's always fun to just see the world. At least
Isn't it?
that's that's the way I feel. And some people I know don't dig travel, but I would do it as much as I
Right.
can, as often as I could.
Well, and that's the impetus for all your books with Lisa, right?
Yep, yep.
I mean, that was so cool because what an incredible way to introduce the world to other kids too.
That
It's
was
amazing.
definitely, yeah, one of my hopes with those. So tell a fun story, but introduce a cool place. So,
Definitely. Ugh, we'll have
so
to travel. We'll have to compare travel places. I love it too.
yes, for sure. And I think we kind of went down a rabbit hole after I said the
Yeah,
words
we did.
Philadelphia Eagles. So are you a Broncos fan?
You know, they've come and gone, and they've come and gone and come and gone. It it kind of depends on the team. I really do like the Eagles also. I've always liked the Cowboys and the Oilers. Um, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's because I was from Tennessee. I don't watch a lot of football. I generally watch the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
And but I think the playing is amazing. I'm a soccer person. I love the team plays and watching the field and seeing the different the way that people play and they choose their teammates and choose to when they strike. I like that a little bit more. I like football too, but it's so dang violent and people get so hurt. And it hurts me to think of these people getting hurt so badly.
Yeah,
So
no, and I know they're making subtle changes to the sport to try and prevent it.
I
But
don't think it's going to happen.
there's the nature of it. You can only do but so much. It's
Mhm.
um,
And I'm a
but
huge, yeah, hockey fan because I was a figure skater before.
yeah. Well, the Vegas Golden Knights just won the Stanley Cup last year, so
I
we're becoming
know.
a bit of a hockey town now.
I was going to say, and how bizarre is that?
I know.
It's cool.
So, all right. Well, Autumn was the name of the song, and we're gonna play it now. Here it is, Autumn by Hunk-Ta-Bunk-Ta.
Autumn
Autumn, leaves falling to the ground. Autumn, autumn, red, yellow, orange, and brown. Rake 'em up into a pile, then jump in and play a while. Autumn, autumn, autumn is here. Autumn, autumn, close up the swimming pool. Autumn, autumn, everybody's back in school. Ready or not, football games, chilly nights and sunny days. Autumn, autumn, autumn is here. Frost might nip at your toes, but you still get a sunburned nose. Daylight savings feels a little squirrely 'cause the sun sets way too early. Autumn, autumn, autumn is here. Autumn, autumn, the garden is ready to pick. Autumn, autumn, it's harvest, you gotta be quick. A bucket of peas, potatoes too, apples and carrots for me and you. Autumn, autumn, autumn is here. Frost might nip at your toes, but you still get a sunburned nose. Daylight savings feels a little squirrely 'cause the sun sets way too early. Autumn, autumn, autumn is here. Autumn, autumn, autumn is here.
And that was Autumn. All right, last song we're going to talk about here in this song feature is called Snowflake, Snowflake, Where Did You Go? Let's talk about this one.
Oh, Patrick, I love the snow. I think it is so magical. And I don't I don't remember when I first realized that snowflakes were so unique. And I remember when I was little, I was always chasing around trying to keep them on me, and they would always melt. And then I saw these incredible photography exhibit once of snowflakes, and it just blew me away. And I just think they're a little bit of a miracle coming down from the sky. And it always amazes me when I go to a place and perform that where people have never seen snow. Like I performed in Africa or Australia, and it's really interesting when you think that a lot of people have experienced snow, but they really haven't. And it's changed so much. I mean, I'm a Colorado girl, and when I was growing up, we would dive into snowbanks and cover your head. Well, you can't do that anymore. Even in places where the snow is pretty deep, it's still getting a little bit less and less. So global warming is really, really taking its toll. So anyway, I love snowflakes, and I love the fact that they're unique, and I love winter. It's just such an odd time for many people who don't really get to experience freezing cold. And it's not
Yeah.
even that cold here because it's dry heat. I mean, it's dry cold. And if you go to humid cold, it's really cold. But not
Mhm.
here. It's not so bad.
Yeah, when
So,
we came back from, living in Saudi Arabia, we moved to New Hampshire. And so for the first 10 years of my life, I don't think I saw snow. We might have in Illinois, but nothing that I really remembered. And then New Hampshire.
and
And
your blood must have been thin, thin, thin from Saudi too.
yeah, I
Was
got
it?
sick constantly. That first
I
year in New
bet you
Hampshire,
did.
I was sick every other week. But
Oh my gosh.
that was our first introduction to lots of snow, lots of blizzards and stuff like that. And they never closed schools up there. And you went to school. The buses, they had snow plows that cleared the roads, but you kind of walked up your own road in deep snow. And then from there, we moved to Virginia, where an inch of snow is on the ground. They're closing everything, and
I
it
know,
just
one
cracks me
flake,
up.
and they go, done. Wow, you have really seen the gamut then. That's amazing.
That was a probably too drastic of a shift. If we had gone to Virginia first, that probably would have been a better reintroduction to the to the climate of the U.S.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very humid there, but I guess it's not so bad. They have beautiful springs and falls though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then our daughter Lyric has never really seen snow, so I think we'll probably plan a vacation somewhere where
Oh,
she likely can see it. But she was born here in Vegas, so she's
well, come visit me.
yeah. I was about to say Colorado's not too far off, and
No,
we're guaranteed snow probably
you're
in
absolutely
Colorado.
guaranteed snow. Yeah, yeah, plan on it. Porch light's always on. Serious.
Yeah, definitely. If we're up that way, we'll do it. What part of Colorado is it?
Well, we're in Denver, but our family property is outside of Granby, which is maybe 30 miles from Winter Park,
Hmm,
which is a big ski area. Um, it's on the western slope. So the plains of Denver, that's on the eastern side of the Rockies, and then you go over the Rockies to get to our mountain place.
gotcha.
So
Okay,
that's where you'd want to go to see the snow. Just saying.
duly noted.
Always, any invite, always welcome.
Very
Serious.
cool. Thank you. All right, well, we're gonna play the song now. Here it is, "Snowflake, Snowflake, Where Did You Go?" by Hunk-Ta-Bunk-Ta.
Snowflake, snowflake, where will you land? On top of my head or back of my hand? Maybe on my arm or the tip of my toe? Snowflake, snowflake, where did you go? Snowflake, snowflake, why won't you freeze? Tummy, tum, tum, or in front of my knees? Maybe you will fall on my tongue or nose. Snowflake, snowflake, where did you go? Snowflake, snowflake, up in the skies, fluttering down in front of my eyes. I try to catch you on my chinny chin chin, but you disappear when you touch my skin. Wait, where'd you go? Come back here. Snowflake, snowflake, please will you stay and stick to my mittens or hat all day? Maybe you will wait while the cold winds blow. Snowflake, snowflake, where did you go? Snowflake, snowflake, you are unique, an intricate pattern of diversity. Maybe it's time to let yourself show. Oh, look how beautiful you are. Snowflake, snowflake, where did you go? Snowflake, snowflake, up in the skies, fluttering down in front of my eyes. Winter's gonna last for quite a spell. Snowflake, snowflake, please don't melt. Snowflake, snowflake, why did you melt?
And that was "Snowflake, Snowflake, Where Did You Go?" The album is called Seasons, and just assume it can be found in all the places that you can stream, purchase, and download music. So, Catherine, how can people find and connect with you?
They can find me on Instagram. They can find me on my website, which is www.hunk-ta-bunk-ta. And they can find me by emailing me. I'm really open to emails. I'll just respond all the time. But yeah, any old place. YouTube, I have a YouTube channel that I'm about to start putting some videos up that will connect with each song on this last album, because I think it's really important to show little snippets of what you can do with each song. So it'll be a little bit of teaching, but hopefully a little bit of a bonding thing that parents can do with their children. I think the concept of with is really important to me, is listening with your children. So many kids just kind of get left alone with their devices. And I just really love the fact that parents parent with their children and hang with them and read books to them and listen to music and dance with them and play musical instruments. So I'm kind of in that genre. And I really hope to instill that with the music that I write.
Very good. Well, Catherine, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Your story sounds amazing, and I can't wait to have some time with you in person again and go down lots of other rabbit holes because I
Oh,
think
I hope we
we
can.
have tons of stories we can share, especially about travel and all that fun stuff.
That sounds awesome, Patrick. And I can't thank you enough. You're doing such an awesome job on this whole Kindy Rock Stars. I'm so envious that you get to know every single person who's doing anything in our business. It's awesome.
It has been my pleasure. Absolutely.
Well, thanks again for having me.
You got it. All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye.